Hello, my name is Fuzzy Talon, or Johnny if human names are more your style, and this is a series I'm doing on warrior cats about how the books parallel real-life biology. I started reading the Warrior Cat series in 2010, and when I started studying wildlife biology in college, a lot stood out to me as less than accurate. But I wanted to take what I learned about ecology and use warriors as a tool to help teach others. Full disclaimer, this video series is also for a college project, so everything I say will be backed up with source names on screen, in the credits, and listed below in the descriptions. With all that out of the way, let's get started. Part 1. What are cats? Perhaps this sounds like a dumb question, but it's the absolute basis to what we're talking about. The cats we're talking about are domestic cats, Felis catus. They are a member of the cat family, Felidae, which coincidentally I did a college project on a few years back if you'd like to check that out. Cats were domesticated around the time that humans started doing agriculture, around 10,000 to 9,000 BCE. They did well around human settlements because they ate the mice that ate our grain, so we let them stay. They're closely related to European wildcats, and when you see them side by side, you can really tell how similar they are. They're not the same species, but they are sister taxa, which evolved from the same common ancestor. Now, what is warrior cats? Warrior cats is the more common name for the children's book series Warriors, written by Aaron Hunter. It was first published in 2003 and is currently ongoing as of the time of this video. It's made up of arcs, which are groups of 6 books making up the main story, as well as longer super editions, shorter novellas, graphic novels referred to as manga, which are technically not in any way manga, and it's recommended you're probably better off calling them graphic novels or comics instead, and guidebooks. As of December 2019, when this video was first scripted and edited, the total count is 77 published books, with an arc still in progress and another super edition just announced. The author Aaron Hunter is actually a pen name for several authors, the original Aaron being Vicky Holmes, but after some revisions over the years, the writing team is now 5 editors, including Cherith Baldry and Kate Carey. Warriors follows a kitty pet named Rusty as he leaves his home and joins a group of wildcats living in the forest. Ultimately, the Warrior Cat series is more fantasy than reality, with heavy anthropomorphizing of the cats and featuring the use of magic, such as leaders really having 9 lives. But just because Warriors might not be so grounded in reality doesn't mean we can't look at it as though it were. A quick disclaimer though, as this series goes along, I haven't actually read a Warriors book in about 5 years, and I haven't read past The Last Hope, so I may miss out on some key events here and there. Part 2. The Clans. Warrior cats live in clans, which are groups of cats that are somewhat closely related. Actual feral cats sometimes live in groups called colonies, which is usually closer related groups of females in a communal nest, with some males here and there. Think sort of like lions. Other times, female cats don't like living in the same area as each other, but males will usually be more chill hanging out in the same area as females or other males. I took the number of cats listed in ThunderClan in the first book of each of the first 5 arcs, and the average number of cats in ThunderClan at any given time is about 30. Assuming this is the same for the other clans, that's about 120 cats all living in the same general area. In real life, population density like this is a little trickier to calculate, but we can assume because so many cats are in the same area, there must be a lot of prey. Feral cat population density is determined by food abundance, for the most part. Basically, the more food, the more cats can live in that area. In Warriors, they live in several different places based on clan. ThunderClan is deciduous forest, ShadowClan in the marsh and then in pine forest, RiverClan very close to water, and WindClan on the moors. Actual cats seem to change where they shelter based on factors like weather and food availability. A study in Australia in 2002 found waste disposal sites to be great for feral cat populations because it provided high food abundance and a safe place for the kittens. It was also found in a 2011 study on free-roaming, owned and unowned cats that cats are more likely to prefer grasslands and crops in the summer, but urban or forested areas in the winter, likely based on both prey availability and shelter. Each clan has its own territory that the cats will defend against each other. When it comes to real animals, we need to define 2 terms, territory and home range. The home range is anywhere that an animal goes for resources such as food, water, and shelter. Territory is part of an animal's home range that they defend. I had a professor once use the example that if home range is the whole college campus, your territory is your seat. I'm not going to fight some guy for also being in the hallway, but I might fight him if he's in my seat. Sometimes, home range and territory are the same thing, and that's how it seems to be in Warriors. They're going to fight over every inch of their territory. You might be able to argue that they don't fight over the island that they use for gatherings, and I might be willing to agree that this is more of part of their home range that happens to not be the territory of any one clan, although they don't seem to use it for any resources besides the gathering. Why fight over territory in the first place? Well, real cats often don't. They tend to be more passive-aggressive defending territory. Think more scent marking over someone else's mark rather than fighting someone head-on. Warrior cats differ from real cats both in that they will get very defensive over borders and that they don't negotiate their borders very well. How come cats never change clans? Some do. Storm first stayed with the tribe at Dawn, and Tawny Paw moved from ThunderClan to ShadowClan in the Darkest Hour. But it's frowned upon to divide your loyalties, or something along those lines. Real cats are much more loose about colonies and home ranges than in warriors. Home range size can change based on factors like food availability, environmental stressors like weather, habitat use, and mating strategies across seasons. Cats are also likely to have bigger home ranges if they need to find their own food. While real cat colonies may not take kindly to new members in the territory, much like warrior cats, there's often several cats with overlapping home ranges. Real cats also disperse, which is when they leave where they were born to go live somewhere else. In one study of a high-density cat population of 70, many of the females dispersed by 1 to 2 years old. In a low-density population study, instead, 78% of the males dispersed by 1 to 3 years old. This is one of those things that really depends on factors such as pressure from other cats and food availability, and isn't something we have a lot of data about. But we do know that it doesn't happen in warriors. Instead, we have the issue of 25 cats in ThunderClan and Into the Wild becoming 40 cats at the beginning of the Apprentice's Quest, 24 books later. Part 3. How Cats Act. In Warriors, the cats form a dominance hierarchy that goes something like leader, followed by deputy, warrior, apprentice, and kit. Medicine Cat and Queen are a bit harder to slot in, but I might put them alongside deputy and warrior respectively. Real cats don't really have any proper dominance hierarchy. An animal might be dominant to others, but is certainly not the leader. Cats are still somewhat solitary animals in that regard. Dominance really only comes into play if cats have something to protect, like food or kittens. Well, how about other behaviors? In warriors, kits are kept in the nursery for 6 moons before they become apprentices, learning how to do important things like hunting. In reality, kittens should be learning most of their essential tasks from their mothers early on. Kittens start being taught to hunt around 4 weeks old. Warriors' kittens surely get to play hunt when they're young, but they don't get out of the camp to learn essentials like tree climbing and real hunting until they're almost full-grown cats. What about activity patterns, or how cats spend their day? Warrior cats are a lot like humans. They're active during the day, and they sleep at night. Like humans, they're diurnal. Or how most humans should be. Real cats are crepuscular, which means they're most active at dawn and dusk. Some cats may also be more nocturnal than crepuscular, as that seems to be the case for feral cats who don't depend on humans. Pet cats tend to be more crepuscular to match human activity patterns. They're up with you in the morning and in the evening rather than all night. My final point is that of socialization. How do cats communicate? In Warriors, it's a heavy focus on vocal interaction, probably because that's something humans know well and it comes across well in the books with dialogue. Real cats communicate in a lot of ways, but not a lot of it is vocal. Cats meow more to humans than to other cats. Instead, a lot of cat communication is tactile, like grooming, touching noses, rubbing against each other, playing, or resting together. Or a lot of olfactory communication, like how they use scents to mark territory and tell each other what's theirs. There's also a lot of body language, like tail and ear positions. We hear about sharing tongues when cats will groom each other and talk in the books, but we don't see a lot of it. We also see Border Patrol scent marking sometimes. But the main way these cats communicate is through words, which, when they live as complex human-like lives as they do, I guess is necessary. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all again in the next installment.